Hey everybody, welcome back to Movie Chatter. We have a very interesting episode tonight, or at least I think we do. I have a funny feeling that this is not going to go well for some of us, but we are here. I'm Eric. I'm joined tonight by Lou and Robin. Lou, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing very well. I'm looking forward to this episode because I love this movie.
Awesome. Robin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm going to really enjoy.
Where's the drop from call button? Tim keeps talking about this. I know it's out there somewhere, but
I can do that.
No.
Does that help? Of course, I can still hear her somewhere. So I guess that doesn't really count. Robin, how are you doing tonight? How much alcohol do you have there with you? I should ask that first.
Just have a single glass of libationist.
Single glass of wine?
Single case of wine.
Now, my question is, how many times have you refilled that glass?
Only not at, this is
My grandfather used to do the, no, I only have 1 cup of coffee a day, he'd tell his doctors. I refill it 6 times, but it's just the 1 cup.
It's the 1 cup, yeah.
All right, well, tonight we are going to be discussing Ronin from 1998, continuing our coverage of heist films. Wow, this is gonna we're gonna have fun tonight. So this one is starring Robert De Niro. Also stars Jean Reno from I guess best known from The Professional, right? From Leon.
Professional.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also has Natasha McElhone.
Sure.
From Designated Survivor, The Truman Show, some other things. It has Sean Bean from Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. Also from Game of Thrones, it has Jonathan Pryce. And he was in one of the James Bond movies. I think it was a Pierce Brosnan one.
Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies? Yeah. Okay. And then Stellan Skarsgård from Avengers 1 and 2 and Thor. As well as some other things. Angels and Demons, Good Will Hunting. So good cast.
Yeah.
Good movie, right, Lou?
Yeah.
Good cast.
All right. So this is Lou's pick today. Wow, this is going to be fun. So let's get the initial thoughts out of the way before we jump into spoilers. And we will be spoiling this movie. It's been out for 20 years now. So, you know, I think that it's well beyond our standard spoiler policy. So, Lou, what did you think about this movie and why did you decide we should cover it on tonight's show, other than to troll what's-her-face over here?
No, I didn't even know I was trolling what's-her-face over there. Right? I mean, I thought it was a good heist movie. We were talking about doing heist movies for a bit here now. And, you know, I mean, I think there's certain things that make a good heist movie. Some of them are good because it's just a good cast. Some of them are good because there's a lot of action. I think the better ones, though, are good because they have you know, detailed plans, the ability to improvise on the fly, and the ability to plan out a pretty complex, you know, group of tasks. So this one for me is of that latter class where there's a lot of planning going on, a lot of stuff that's going on that's not just, hey, a smash and grab. I mean, this is a really well thought out, planned heist.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go next because I know the direction this is going to go with Robin. So I also liked this movie. What I liked about it, in the Italian Job, and I'm referring to the 2003 one, the more recent one, you have a group of people who are kind of a family. They've worked together before. It's a well-oiled machine. This movie is the opposite of that. You get people who are complete strangers. They don't trust each other. And so the dynamics within the group are very, very different. And we get to see that play out. Like you said, there's more planning going on in this movie that we don't normally get to see in a heist movie because it's not just everybody sitting around a table and them kind of going over the plans with the whiteboard. And then there's a montage of people getting the cars ready or people making sure the guns are loaded or whatever. Like we actually go see them acquire the guns from an arms dealer. And we see them go like actually do things in this planning. And we get a character who's challenging the leader. Like, why are we doing this? Why aren't we doing it that way? Why do we have to do it this way? How many bad guys are there? No, we need to know how many before we step in there or I'm walking out. Like there's a completely different dynamic going on. And I appreciated that a lot. Plus there's a pretty decent car chase, right? So I liked it. I mean, it's not my favorite movie, but I think it's definitely a good movie. And I thought that it was less about the action and the heist itself, and it was more about the characters and the dynamics between the characters, and I liked that. Robin.
Hi.
How you doing?
You know what? It wasn't awful.
Okay. Because the stuff, ladies and gentlemen, the stuff she said before the show.
Oh, crap fest? Oh.
That was the nicest thing she said.
Well, because first of all, my favorite piece of this was the relationship between Robert De Niro and Jean Reno. Right?
Yes.
That
was the best part of the movie.
It was the best part of the movie. It held it together. And then my second favorite part is, gotta tell you, Katarina Witt. I mean, man, she had this very small part, but she was just stunning.
Wait, who?
Katarina Witt.
What the?
What?
Robin, not saying. I didn't just notice that in the movie. It's like
I'm not.
I still don't know what she's talking about. What am I missing? What am I missing here?
The skater was Katarina Witt. Oh my God. I think I've stunned my co-host.
One of the second best part of the movie for you was
Katarina Witt.
Some ice skater in the background who like.
Evidently.
Did she have a... No, she was shot. That's not stunned. That's dead. There's a difference. Oh, spoilers, by the way. Did she even have a speaking line?
Yes.
Yeah.
Glad somebody noticed.
One.
Like, what?
One or two.
Did you have to look up her name, or is she like a famous person?
She is a famous...
No, she's a famous
person.
For
doing what?
Person.
For skating?
Huh? Yeah, like gold medals, all that. Yeah. Dude, Carrie, can you set this
is like
straight?
saying that the best part of Iron Man was the
Pepper Potts?
was the cameo by Stan Lee. Like,
yeah.
It has nothing to do with the movie.
I understand, but I think
Lou.
You know what? If I had to put it up there, I'd put it up there with it's like a slow pace, Fast and Furious.
Slow and Furious.
But it was still
slow and infuriating.
I mean, I like the acting. I think that many of what we would consider A-list actors, I would consider Robert De Niro and Jean Reno as A-list. Sean Bean was wonderful, but to me, it was all held in the acting and not necessarily the story.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
That's fine, and I agree. I think that the story was a way to present the character conflicts. This wasn't an action movie. Mm-hmm. It was not a typical heist movie, but I think that's okay. And I think that it's okay to have a movie where the story is not about the plot, but the story is about the characters. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Especially when they're good actors.
Yeah. And everybody in this, all of the main actors in this movie were good actors, even if they're not all A-list. Like, they're high quality actors.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. So what worked for you in this movie, Lou, and what didn't? Was there anything that didn't work?
I don't know. I think everything seemed to work okay for me, and nothing stood out as saying, no, I mean, the movie's aged a little bit. It's not as good as today's standards would be, I guess, but otherwise, other than time, I think it's fine.
Okay. I think for me, everything worked about the movie. It's just that a lot of people's expectations were set differently than what the movie delivered. I think a lot of people were expecting a traditional heist movie. And if you went into it thinking it's an action movie, you're going to be bored. You're going to fall asleep. A lot of people complained about the pacing in this movie. I didn't think the pacing was bad because if you look at the character development, the pacing was really good. It's just that the plot's pacing was weak, but the movie wasn't about the plot. So I didn't mind the pacing. I thought the pacing was just fine for what it was supposed to be. I think a lot of people just didn't really know what they were supposed to be getting out of the movie.
Well, and Lou is really tired of hearing me say this, so I'm only going to say it once during the podcast. I was very distracted by the case. And
it was just a metal box.
What was in the case?
Understand.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Lou, what was in the case in Pulp Fiction?
It doesn't matter.
Marcellus Wallace's soul.
Not according to the director and writer. That's been debunked.
Go ahead, Lou.
It doesn't matter because the story is not about what's in the case because the character doesn't care what's in the case. It's like what happens to the top at the end of Inception. It doesn't matter. The story is that the character didn't care anymore and walked away from it. Robert De Niro's character, Sam, never cared about what was in the case. And we weren't supposed to either. It was just a job, and it was him getting wrapped up in the job.
Well, he did at one point because he kept asking about that. And when
he cared to the extent that
he's like, "No, this is amateur hour.
Right.
I don't care." Okay, fine. Pay me $100,000 now, $100,000 at the end of the job. They agreed to that. Okay, fine. I don't care what's in the case anymore.
But it was because of the threat level. He wanted to know, like, is it just cash? Right. Is it like $800 million in diamonds, or is it like, you know, some drug cartel leader's left foot?
Explosives?
Is it explosives? Is it a dirty bomb?
You know, he even said, do I have to worry about, you know, cutting some guy's hand off to get the case? Type
he
thing,
wanted to know about the threat involved. He didn't care what the contents were. We weren't supposed to either. Robin? That was a big sigh.
Well, because I think the case turned out to be a problem for me because it became a character.
It didn't do anything. I don't mean that in a literal sense. I mean, there are things that things that aren't characters kind of have a life of their own, but this
it was the case. Well, the case was faked. It was fobbed off. It was, you know, it changed hands. It felt like a shell game for me, and that's why it started to bother me. And that's fine. I mean, I was teasing Lou the entire time I was watching the movie.
Sure, Lou.
That's okay.
It's what I do. But and I didn't want to be obnoxious about it, but that was the level that it started to bother me. In Pulp Fiction, the case wasn't as prevalent. It wasn't constantly
Sure it was. They even opened up the lid and it glows in their face and because they are enraptured with what was in it. In this one, the characters literally ignored what was in the case. It was a snatch and grab job, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's another movie we should cover is Snatch.
I never saw
Really? Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so adding that to the list.
Heard the accents are tough to watch or listen to.
Only Brad Pitt.
Okay.
All right, I'm adding that to the list.
Well, I really want to add, not to derail the topic, but I really want to add The Usual Suspects at some point.
Oh yeah.
That's not really a heist film, but
yeah. But it's a movie worth discussing, I think.
Oh, okay. I've got the list up right now. I'll add it here.
You know, for a topic that seemed to be like we're gonna do like one or two, we have like 10,000.
Yeah, we added two more over the last week. We added 6 Underground and Baby Driver.
Yeah,
Baby Driver, I love it.
You've seen it, so Lou's never seen it. and I'd really like to cover it.
I'm more than happy to watch it, but
I think it was on sale on iTunes this past week too for like $9.99 or something, which I think it's definitely worth that.
Sure. I'm not going to give that show away, but I love that show.
Yeah. And it's got Lily James, so, you know.
And Baby Driver.
Yeah. So anyway, so back to this movie.
I think. Yep.
I really, really liked how different this was from the Italian Job. I liked the fact that, you know, they go in, nobody trusts anybody else. You've got a boss who's not giving them even the most basic levels of information. And it becomes clear very quickly that she doesn't have the information herself. So right out of the gate, any reasonable person is going to have some serious doubts about this. And we see that with Robert De Niro's character. He's like, you know, like you said, like, no, tell me what's in the case or I'm walking away, or you're throwing in another $100,000. Like, you have to give us enough information to keep us from becoming dead.
Yeah, right.
Like, we have to be able to know what it is we're dealing with, what the threats are, what the logistics are, what the resources are that we have available, how to get in, how to get out. Like, you have to give us something.
And, you know, part of that, I think, was, I mean, De Niro's character was great in the fact that he wasn't just your typical cocky, know-it-all, you know, black ops performer. He was realistic, down to earth, you know, seemed legit about everything he was talking about.
Right.
Yeah, it was refreshing for that kind of character, not to be, you know, Mr. Macho tough guy. I mean, this is the guy that was looking out for his own skin, you know, and being nervous about stuff and being scared about stuff. And he got the job done, obviously, but he didn't come across as being the on the best.
That's the thing. There was never a point where it became about his arrogance.
Right.
It was competence, and that's it. And even then, he didn't necessarily care whether the other people thought anything of his competence. He knew he could do the job. He had to make sure other people could do the job too. And he had some doubts.
Yep.
And I loved the way he called out Sean Bean's character.
Oh, that was fantastic. Yeah.
So you've got these characters who really they don't know each other. They don't know that they can trust each other. They have to trust each other. It doesn't go well in a number of ways. But the two characters who really are not about the arrogance end up forming a friendship, and then it seems like almost a brotherhood by the end. And it was really fascinating to me to watch that relationship develop throughout the movie. It started with nothing and it became something where you really felt like they're kind of brothers.
Right.
To me, that was the best part of the film, is watching those two characters develop and kind of work things through their minds. And there was a mutual respect, and then there was a mutual trust. And then, you know, it kept going from there. There was never a point at which one ever put the other one in a position where they thought, okay, maybe I can't trust this guy after all. They never broke that confidence. And so they continued to build layer upon layer, but it was such a natural flow though. And the chemistry between the two as actors, I thought, was phenomenal.
I do think that Jean Reno played the same character that he played in The Professional.
I think he was more stoic in The Professional, though.
Yeah.
I think he was more the hard ass in The Professional. And in this one, I felt like he was a little softer, ironically.
Which is weird, because in The Professional, he was dealing with a little girl.
Right. Right. In Professional, he's also kind of more of a simpleton, too. He didn't come across as being the most...
Right. He was competent,
guy,
but he wasn't intelligent. And he became
But
soft
he
later, but he
as
didn't start as a softie.
I don't think he came off as being very intelligent in this movie either. I thought he came off as being capable.
Yeah.
But De Niro was clearly the guy.
True. Of the two,
He didn't come across as simple in this movie. I mean, he may not have been the most, the brain guy, but he was definitely...
He was at least average, if not above average. But like in The Professional, like he couldn't read. He was illiterate. He couldn't manage his money. He didn't really have a good sense. We talked about him knowing who he could trust and who he couldn't trust.
True.
You didn't get any of that in Vincent in this movie. So, but there were a lot of similarities too. But I wonder how much of that might be the actor. Well, in the role too, to some extent.
True.
I guess.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
And I have to say, I appreciate Robert De Niro. I've never been a super fan of De Niro. I mean, if I see a movie with De Niro in it, fantastic. I don't necessarily seek out De Niro movies. I know it's going to be well done and well acted, but there is something about his persona, his voice, his something that just grates at me a little bit. And I can't peg it. And so it's just like, oh, it's a De Niro movie. Okay. Unlike, a Kenneth Branagh movie where, you guys will see me in front of the screen, front row all the time, every time.
I kind of feel the same way about Pacino. People always lump De Niro and Pacino together. Pacino's kind of that way for me. Like if I see a Pacino movie, it's like, okay, well, this is probably going to be pretty good. But every now and then there's something about Pacino that just kind of grates on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you guys will say, I don't seek them out, but if they're in a movie, well, great.
Yeah, it's going to be a solid movie. It's probably not going to be a waste of your time. He's a good actor. I know him to be a good actor. He brings it. He can bring it on many different levels, but I do not see him as this lover. You put him and George Clooney side by side and I'll go see George Clooney anytime.
Oh, no.
So.
To me, I'd rather watch De Niro. George Clooney to me seems, I mean, all due respect to George Clooney, but he feels like he's playing the same role in every movie he does.
Well, I was just going to say with De Niro, I'm kind of looking back through his filmography here, and he's got huge range of what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about him in Midnight Run versus this, completely different character. One's got more comedy aspect to it. One's more serious. Things like this. To
and then you've got things like
to the small bit roles he's
Meet
played.
the Fockers and yeah. To me, Clooney is perfectly fine, but
there you
not
go. Perfectly
impressed.
Fine.
Anyway,
so you're thinking this is a heist film.
It is a film that takes place around a heist.
Yeah.
I felt like it was more of an action.
Go on.
I mean, I think it had more character moments than action, though.
Yeah.
It was an action-filled character drama.
There you go.
It's sort of like we just watched Seawolves.
Okay.
And old school Gregory Peck, Roger Moore, just old school British. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it is actually a slower, not less action, lower budget James Bond film.
Yeah, I mean, already not interested.
But that's like I left there feeling like this was a slower, not a whole lot of action sort of heist film. Even Ocean's 11 had a lot more action.
It did.
In it than
if this film had a fault in it, it's that there was very little action and it implied that there was going to be a lot. Now you had some good action scenes. You had, you had the car chases. The scene at the end was good. Like what action it had was solid. It's just, it presented itself as if it's supposed to be an action film, and it really wasn't. And so I think people's expectations were thrown off a little bit. But I think it was a solid film. Like, as much as I liked The Italian Job for being a good action heist movie, there were elements of this that I liked better in the character dynamics. When you have something like The Italian Job, which again, I loved the movie. That was the one heist movie I insisted that we cover. I love that movie, but it's safe with the characters, right? Yeah, somebody might die at the end. Somebody might get arrested. Will they make it? Will they not? But as far as the character dynamics and stuff, once you get past that initial thing with Ed Norton, you know, like, everything is safe within those character dynamics. In this movie, you don't know who to trust, who not to trust. And the only two characters that you really know, okay, those two probably aren't going to betray each other unless that's like a big plot twist that's coming. Those are the only two characters you can do that for. And that relationship building becomes so interesting that that's one of the identifying markers of the film. So very, very different film, but there are things that it did better than Italian Job did, and vice versa. It wasn't an action film. That's really where I think it's going to hit people. But if you're looking for something that's really, it's not as over the top. It's not as James Bondish as something like Italian Job is. You don't have people driving Mini Coopers through buildings and through crowded streets and stuff like that. Like, this is just kind of even the car chase, it was a realistic type of car chase. It was intense, but it was realistic.
I read that, right? Or Lou said that. Right?
I don't remember. Yeah. But I mean, that was the thing. I like it. It's not like one of these, far-fetched car chase scenes. It's like, oh, that couldn't happen. It's like,
Right.
Again, it's like most of my movies. I like a realistic version of what's happening, kind of like the newer Batman movies versus what we had before. I mean, it was kind of grounded in reality. Right.
So, can I ask you guys another question?
No. Sorry, that's all. You've had your quota.
Carrie, can you ask this question for me? So, talk to me about the title. I mean, generally, when I teach my film class, one of the exercises I like to lead the class through is, think about the title. Does the title capture the essence of the movie? I think this movie missed the mark a little bit for me because the title harkens back to ancient Japan, with the oh my God, samurai, right? And I didn't feel like it carried the essence or the spirit of that through in its character development. And I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about that.
Lou, any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it kind of worked because, I mean, I look at it as De Niro was the Ronin character, right? I mean, he wasn't doing his work for his lord anymore, which was, the CIA or the government. And, he was making his way. He said he needed the money. He needed a job. To me, I thought that fit perfectly. It wasn't spoon-fed to you. You kind of had to piece that together.
Except that at the end, he was. I mean, at the end, we find out he never left.
Or was that something that CIA. He told Deirdre to get her to go?
The girl.
Of course, I guess he knew Seamus's name, and he wouldn't have known that had that not have actually been the guy. Because I don't think it was mentioned anywhere else.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of with Robin. I'm thinking that maybe that doesn't hold up that well because he's not really masterless. But he presents himself throughout the whole movie. He uses that disguise
as.
So that still kind of counts.
And I think it's fine that way because it was that until it wasn't, right? So he was Ronin until we find out no, he really wasn't. He was just undercover. He was playing a bit.
I agree that the rest of them were a faction of a Ronin, right? I feel like the rest of them were masterless, um, or modern day mercenaries, right? But I really feel like his character was meant to embody that, and then it left me after. And he could have been lying to Deidre, um, when he said, I never left. I never left the company. Um, but but again, at the end of the movie, I'm erring towards, well, he was an op, he was a CIA op all along. So
yeah,
because otherwise it wouldn't have mattered to him to finish the job.
Yep. The name, the film title to me, it fits in a very loose, tangential way. It doesn't. I think they needed a name, and Ronin sounded cool. And he's kind of operating on his own, like he's kind of running solo, other than Vincent. So,
well, it's true. He's not checking back in.
Right.
He's not answering to anyone.
If it was just a name, I don't think they would have started out with the whole definition of Ronin, on camera. So I think this was a thought out, planned out name.
But it felt very artsy,
like a
to
justification.
Me, like we didn't get the joke.
Yeah.
Like I felt like an outsider to the name of the movie. Like there's really smart, erudite people with, berets and smoking French cigars, or cigarettes, having their little private conversation about this, and me on the outside going, yeah, I don't understand what you're saying. Right. That's where it sort of left for me. Whereas, Ocean's 11, yeah, there's got to be 11.
The guy's last name is Ocean.
And the guy's last name is Ocean. Otherwise, it doesn't sort of
mean,
work.
and that's kind of a boring excuse for a name. This, at least, like, it sounded cooler, but I still really felt like, okay, yeah, I get it, but you're kind of grasping at straws there. Like, there's no meaning really to it.
And how much do we go to see movies for the titles?
Well, but I mean, you brought up a good point, though. I think it's good if the title, has a meaning to the movie. I think it's better if the title has something, I don't know, kind of hidden within it. Like a dual meaning to it. I like that a lot.
Yep.
When you think one thing going in and coming out, you've got an entirely different, thought on the movie.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess to me, the title, like, I saw it, I got it. There was the opening card explaining it. There was the guy who stitched him up, who talked a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was talking about having kind of like a code and everything and all that. Like, but to me, it kind of felt like, yeah, but not really. It was not a meaningful part of the movie to me, and therefore it wasn't really something I cared about.
So, okay. Fair enough.
It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was there.
It's the title.
It's the title.
Right.
And, at least it wasn't called like Sam and Vincent or something, like it could have been so much worse. I mean, Ronin is not a bad title, even if it doesn't entirely fit.
Before I knew anything about it, I expected one of the characters' names to be Ronin.
Ugh, Robin.
Sorry, Lou. I know you think I'm smarter than that.
All right. Well, I don't know that there's a whole lot more to say about the movie. Is there anything else to... I mean, we're already at the 35-minute mark, so it's not like we have to pad out the episode or anything, but...
Right. No, I mean, I don't think there's anything else to talk about with it. I mean, it was, I think you got two different opinions here on like it or not like it, I guess.
You would obviously recommend it, right?
Yeah, okay. I would, yep. I mean, I recommend it to you guys.
Honestly,
so maybe you watch it.
I would recommend it. I just wouldn't build it for, if a person said, hey, I'm I'm looking at, you know, I have an opportunity to watch these 3 films, and Ronin's one of them, and you know the other 2 aren't stellar. I'd be like, no, dude, watch Ronin. Now that I've seen it, I would, on a rainy Saturday afternoon, if it turned up on the TV and nothing else is on, I would absolutely watch it again. But it's not. I'm not going to seek it.
That's
out
fair.
Sure.
Unless Lou says we want to do a follow-up
have to
episode.
love all the same things. That's what makes these discussions
Well,
more interesting too. I mean,
I would say if you have not seen it, seek it out. It's definitely worth watching once. It's set your expectations properly. It's a heist film that's not really about the heist as much as it is when a heist goes wrong. But not like Reservoir Dogs. It's when a heist goes wrong, but like in the real world. Not in Quentin Tarantino's little head trip.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Well, we could cover Reservoir Dogs. I mean, if we're talking heist films, but like talk about a heist film that's not a heist film.
As long as I'm not stuck in the middle with you.
Yeah.
Lou.
Trying to come up with a good joke about losing an ear, but yeah, I got nothing. All right. So next up, I think we're going to cover the score. We talked about that, right? Okay.
Yep.
Is that
That's next. That's also Robert De Niro and Edward Norton. So we're kind of bringing together one of the cast members of Ronin and one of the cast members of The Italian Job, pitting them against one another. A battle royale.
Wow, yeah.
Or as they call it in France, a royale with cheese. To go back to we've had more Tarantino references in this episode.
Tasty bigger.
So we're going to cover that next.
Speaking of Ed Norton.
Yeah, go ahead, Lou.
I say, speaking of Ed Norton, we should cover American History X at some point.
Never seen it.
Really?
What?
American History X?
Never seen it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I haven't seen it in years, but it is a powerful, scary movie. Not scary horror, but like...
Am I going to walk away from it wanting to like climb up to my roof and just dive headfirst into a pile of
I haven't seen it in a long
swimming
time.
pool filled with double-edged razor blades?
Wait, I have to look it up.
It was one of these things where I didn't realize it was Ed Norton until about a third of the way in the movie. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. He plays a skinhead. And I mean, powerful messages, interesting.
I'm kind of okay with like not as powerful messages. That is a very pained look on your face, Robin.
The cover looks scary, but I'm game.
No, we should wait. We were planning on doing some more uplifting.
Yeah, let's let life not suck quite as much first, just for like a little bit, and then we'll go back to the heavier. But keep it on the list.
It is a good movie. I mean, Ed Norton does a great job in it. Ed Furlong does a great job in it. I forget who was it.
Okay.
I forget who was his mentor, but yeah, no, it was good movie.
Okay.
So
we will add it to the list. In fact, I'll add it right now. So after we are done with the score, American History X, we do have a few other choices. Ocean's 11 is the obvious choice. 6 Underground, I think, is a good choice. And arguably has the best car chase of any film ever. And I mean, that's including the Fast and Furious franchises. That's including the Transporter. That was good. So
it was good. That is a
and then
good
Baby
movie.
Driver.
Oh, sorry.
Is probably the most recent. I think that was 2017.
Well, 6 Underground was.
Oh yeah, well that's the most recent. Okay, so that's last year on Netflix, but the most recent theatrical release, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's Baby Driver 2. Hold on.
There's a Baby Driver 2. What? I think. How much wine have you had?
When we cover the movie. No, there is a Baby Driver.
Has it been released?
In the making. No.
Okay.
Baby Driver was 2017.
Yeah. Okay. So I would like to cover Baby Driver. And I think 6 Underground is worth covering. I would almost rather cover those than Ocean's 11 because I kind of feel like Ocean's 11 is so obvious.
Yeah, it was probably more widely viewed too,
Right.
so it's probably not news.
I don't know that we would really have anything profound to present to that, and I don't know that we'd really be bringing it to people who haven't seen it before. You know?
Right. I mean, other than it was a really fun
It was very
movie.
fun.
I mean, it was a fun movie. Yeah.
I liked it for me. It goes Ocean's 11, Ocean's 13, and then that movie in between. Sort of like Indiana Jones.
No, Indiana Jones was the fourth movie that doesn't count. Why does everybody explain this to me? Okay, so we're done with the episode. You guys can cut out if you want, but explain to me, Lou, like for real. All kidding aside.
Yep.
Why does everybody hate Temple of Doom? I legitimately, I'm being serious.
I'm not a huge fan of it. No, and I get that. I'm not a huge fan of Temple of Doom. I think it has to do with the...
Sing it, Lou.
I love Temple of Doom, and I hate Raiders. Like, to me, Raiders is a snooze fest.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know how you hate
boring.
Raiders, but...
How do you hate Raiders?
It's boring. It's boring.
And Temple of Doom...
And I know that there's a whole Big Bang Theory thing about where they're talking about if you remove Indiana Jones from the movie, everything still pans out basically the same way. And I know somebody debunked that, but the debunker is wrong because it's true.
Yeah. Here's the problem with Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Let's talk Temple of Doom. Why is it so hated? I didn't Especially, I mean, you got the Crystal Skull, right? So let's...
It's better than Crystal Skull.
It would have to be.
Don't get me wrong there. I mean,
watching paint dry is better than
Indiana Jones movies. Yeah. I mean, there's still only 3 of those movies, but I thought that Temple of Doom was the weakest of the 3, primarily because I didn't buy into the occult thing in this movie. Didn't work out as good as the other ones.
So it was the mysticism aspect of it that just didn't work.
Yeah, but they all had that, right? So I mean, you had the Ark of the Covenant, the first one. You had the
Grail,
the Grail, and the last one. And those are all mythical. They're all there,
right?
But the thuggy cult thing just didn't really work for me. I was like,
but the journey of the movie was more fun.
Cult thing, not a good idea.
It was like Goonies for adults. It was. Yeah.
See, and I didn't like Goonies.
I didn't like Goonies either. So.
I know. I'll say
what? What?
Yeah, I was never a fan of Goonies.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Carrie, help me out. You're in the chat room still, right?
Carrie.
Yeah. See, Carrie, all caps. What? She only put one question mark after it, but she did put an exclamation point after that. I believe that they call that an interrobang.
Carrie, did my audio cut out? Did you not hear what I said?
Fatmatic, Goonies is... I'm a fan of Goonies. Carrie says Goonies is awesome.
I have no problem with
Goonies is awesome. So Temple... Okay, well, now I understand why you guys don't like Temple of Doom, but I don't understand why everybody else who properly recognizes the awesomeness of Goonies doesn't like Temple of Doom. Because to me, it felt like an Indiana Jones Goonies movie. It worked.
I will watch Goonies if you watch Dirty Dancing.
I've seen Dirty Dancing. Thanks to the girl I was dating at the time, I owned both of the soundtracks, God help me.
Just saying.
The soundtracks were okay.
Yeah, they were okay. If I have to hear one more time about how anybody's had the time of their life, though, I will end somebody.
How about putting anybody in a corner?
I put people in corners all the time.
That was overused.
Usually with duct tape.
Now, back to Doom. I don't like bugs.
I hate bugs, but that's what made that scene so intense.
That scene. No, I was like,
we are going to die. Okay, and she sticks her hand in, and he reaches out with this. Okay, I'm sorry. We should wrap up.
The actress was annoying.
Okay. All right.
What's her name? Spielberg's wife.
Oh. Yeah, but not as bad as what's her name that was in Raiders.
Oh, Karen Allen, a way better actress than...
Oh, she was good in that. Yeah, she was good.
What?
Kate Capshaw? Kate Capshaw?
What? Kate Capshaw is Spielberg's.
Ugh.
What's her name? Ellen something? Karen Allen?
Karen Allen.
Yeah.
First of all, like, I wasn't even going to acknowledge that she is able to act, let alone say that she did a good job. And she's abysmal. I went to high school with better actors.
She stood up to his character way better. He had no business falling.
I'm surprised she could stand up. I kept expecting her to fall down half the time.
Wow.
And then in Crystal Skull, she didn't even hide the fact that she was stoned the whole movie. Like, it just... Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, we should have spun this off into an entirely different episode. Wow. We might have to revisit this at some point.
Bonus content. It's bonus content.
The girl screamed way too much for my liking. Yeah.
Kate Capshaw? You better believe it.
But at least she expressed some kind of emotion and like Karen Allen was just like a cardboard cutout.
You could have.
Here's how bad she was. Kristen Stewart would have done a better job at emoting.
Wow. Okay. I think we're done.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it.
How can you even
I
say
said
that?
it.
Wow.
And I'll say it again.
Hey, you guys.
Yes. So, wow, we should have spun this off into another episode. Okay, well, that's going to do it for this episode of Movie Chatter. If you're still watching, you really need to go to our Discord server and chime in here, people. So go to randomchatter.com/Discord and go to the Movie Chatter channel and let us know what you think. I mean, you know, let's talk Ronin and heist movies and stuff too. But listen, this Indiana Jones thing, we need to straighten this out. Okay.
I think Lou and I need to
we are relying on you to set this straight. you guys can gang up on me all you want. Trust me, you need it for this argument. Go recruit some other people too, because I don't know what you guys are smoking, but it must have been whatever Karen Allen was.
I got a hubby that's with me all the way.
All right.
Well, let's face it. If the first movie wasn't good, they wouldn't have made more.
Yeah, someone saw a better script and said, "Oh wow, this is what we should have done." Hey, could we still could we do this again? No. Could we try again, please? Like, just have a do-over.
Hey, you know what else I recently watched? Twister.
And we're done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We appreciate everybody who's been hanging out with us here in the chat room. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe.
Holy cow.
And hit the like button. We're not talking Twister.
I think it's the same one.
We're not going to talk.
Hit the like for Twister.
No, hit the like for this episode. Do it. And for any other episode you listen to, if you sit and watch several, click the like for each of them. We would appreciate it. If you are not watching this on YouTube, go to randomchatter.com/YouTube and you can subscribe from there. And it's awesome. You'll get to see us while we record. But if not, and you still want to get the audio podcasts, those are, of course, are always going to be available wherever you get your other podcasts or from the main website at randomchatter.com. What am I forgetting? randomchatter.com/store, randomchatter.com/Patreon. There's other Discord. Slash things. Yeah, definitely join us in Discord. We got to set these two people straight. Yeah, I had to pause there before I said people, because after that, I don't. Yeah, no, we got to set some stuff straight here.
He's getting cold in his stocking this year. That's it.
Kristen Stewart would have made Raiders better. Just saying.
God.
All right.
You've seen what she's been in, haven't you?
I try not to.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
The girl that did the Twilight movies. If you go, so Robin, I'm dead serious. As soon as we're done here, go to Google, go to images.google.com and search for expressions of Kristen Stewart.
Okay.
And it's such a popular meme. You're going to see the same image like 600 billion times. I know people in the chat room know exactly what I'm talking about. Expressions or facial expressions of Kristen Stewart. And it goes through and there's a picture for each of the different moods that she conveys in her films and what her facial expression is. In fact, I should probably just pull it up on the video here.
Is that like expressions of Darth Vader?
It's more accurate. So the expressions of Darth Vader came from that meme. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. She created a meme with her bad acting, Robin. That's what
Okay.
to just cut it open and do the autopsy on it. She created a meme on her bad acting, and she would have done better than Karen Allen in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, you are wrong.
I'm pulling the plug. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We will talk to you again soon. Don't miss. Actually, we're not doing live streams this weekend for Random Chatter unless Lou, you or Tim get set up for it, or unless we record at a different time. But I will not be around for our regularly scheduled programs. But we will be back next Tuesday night to cover the score, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, which is GMT -5. And hopefully I will stop biting my tongue while I'm recording and I'll stop talking like this did something to, when you bite the side of your tongue and it kind of like swells up and then you keep biting that same spot over and over again. Really bad to do on a podcast.
Yeah.
All right. I'm waiting for you guys to jump in with more Indiana Jones stuff, but I guess I'll give up.
No,
okay.
I'm good.
See you later, everybody. Have a great week.